Today.
Most experts agree early autism diagnosis gives children the best chance to overcome it. What if there was a way to rule out or diagnose autism within 2 to 3 weeks? A new program may help provide an answer. Here to talk about it is Christopher Smith, Vice President and Director of Research for the Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center. Dr. Smith, thank you for joining us on Horizonte.
Thank you.
What's the problem right now? If anything, we hear that there is an increasing number of children who are diagnosed with autism, and the reason seems to be is because people recognize the symptoms fairly early. So why do we need something else?
Well, I don't know that I would say that people recognize the symptoms fairly early. I mean, the average age for diagnosis in Arizona is somewhere around the age of 5. That's too late. That's not early intervention. We need something else now because there are barriers to achieving early diagnosis for most families. There's long wait lists for practitioners that are able to diagnose autism, and the purpose of this app is really to accelerate the process for diagnosis of autism.
Well, we're talking about a situation where the parents have some reason to believe or think that something's wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, either the parent is concerned themselves and they can go download this app and begin the process, or a pediatrician may recognize that there's some concerns with the parent and or with the child, and rather than refer the parent to the conventional method where they might face very long wait lists, sometimes up to a year for diagnosis, the pediatrician can refer the parent right to NODA, to this process. And the parent could have a diagnosis back in their hands within 2 weeks or so from that point.
So tell us about NODA, what it stands for, and
Sure.
then what the app is all about.
NODA stands for the Naturalistic Observation Diagnostic Assessment, because the diagnostic assessment is based on behaviors that occur in the child's natural environment, their home, when they're at home with their family, their toys and everything that they're comfortable with. And what we're doing, and what NODA does, is allow the parent an opportunity to capture the behaviors that raise their concerns in the first place. So NODA instructs the parent to collect videos in 4 different situations that occur in the home that are typically related to or provide opportunities for the child to display typical social communicative behavior or play-based behaviors. And NODA will ask the parent to upload a 10-minute video in 4 different situations, and that gets uploaded to a web-based portal, and a clinician at SORC can then log on to that web-based portal and review the child's developmental history that the parent uploads, and review these videos that the parent uploads. And they watch the videos for specific behavioral examples that are indicative of a developmental delay, possibly related to autism.
So the analyst looks at this and then makes some kind of judgment, and then how is that communicated back to the parent?
Well, so I mean, there's another step in the process where the system organizes all of the behavioral evidence that the clinician identifies according to DSM-5, which is our standard diagnostic procedure or diagnostic nomenclature now. And the clinician reviews all of that information and actually makes the determination whether or not there's enough evidence to say that there is a diagnosis of autism present, or that autism is present, or that it's a real concern. And I want to stress the point that there's nothing magical about this app. It doesn't do anything that's entirely different other than accelerate the process. The diagnosis is still based on developmental history of the child, specific behavioral examples, and clinical judgment. And those are the same 3 elements that are involved in any high-quality diagnosis for autism today.
But the difference is, instead of waiting a year to get in to see the clinician,
Exactly.
within weeks of uploading the information, they've got a response.
Exactly, and the parent then can be sent on the right path. They'll get a report back from NODA that will outline all of the clinician's interpretation of the information that they have, and identifying specific behavioral concerns, and then outlining the next steps that they need to take to get involved in an early intensive behavioral intervention program. And it could potentially restore 8 months to a year of that child's life that can be better spent on early intervention, providing that child with the opportunity to improve their functioning in a way that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
So how long has this been in the development phase, and where are you in that process?
We started actually very early pilot work on this project 5 years ago. And then through persistence with the National Institute of Mental Health and our collaborators in this project, accompanied by the name of Behavior Imaging Solutions and other collaborators at Georgia Tech, we got funded through a small business initiative research grant from the NIMH to develop the technology, to put this all into a workable product. And then for the past year, we've been testing it on 50 families that have been referred to SARC, and we've been comparing the diagnosis that was determined through NODA to the diagnosis that's determined through the standard or the gold standard in-person diagnostic assessment. And our results of the research so far show an 87.2% agreement with the in-person assessment. And it's a very strong statistic, and there's other analyses that we're doing too. And we're nearing the end of having all of the information we need to do a real thorough analysis.
And so for that small percentage, though, where there is a difference between the in-person and the video, which way does it go? Does it show that there are some false positives and you end up saying, no, this child really isn't suffering from autism, or the other way around?
It's more the other way around, that it's a false negative, that for some reason the parent, the NODA clinician wasn't able to see the behaviors that were indicative of autism in that assessment, or the clinician needed more information. There's a varying reasons why, or reasons to explain that very small number of families.
So now you're going to expand the program, and when will it be fully available to any parent who has concerns?
In January of 2015. Very early in January, parents will be able to go ahead and download the app from the App Store, and be able to set up an account and begin the NODA procedure if they have concerns. But until then, if any families are seeing this report right now, they can contact SARC and get their name and contact information on a waiting list. And as soon as the technology is ready for them to download, then we'll send them a link and let them know what to do.
So if a parent gets a response that no, at least based on the video that was seen, no indications of autism, but they're still concerned, are they back to square one, or will somebody then see them more quickly than they would otherwise, and we're almost out of time?
They're not necessarily back to square one. There will be clinical information in the report. In many cases, the disagreements are not, hey, we think this child is typical. The information that we're getting from NODA is that there are developmental concerns here. We're just not seeing enough to say that it's diagnosable as autism. So that information will be relayed to parents. And again, that's in a very small percentage of people in this initial trial.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Horizonte to talk about this trial, and best of luck with the full implementation.
Thank you very much.
And that is our show for tonight from all of us here at 8 and Horizonte. Thanks for watching. I'm Jose Cardenas. Have a good evening.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.